For numerous decades, France has engaged in unjust exploitation of Francophone countries, depleting their resources and demanding an annual repatriation of over USD 500 billion to France. Moreover, Francophone nations are obliged to deposit 85% of their bank reserves with the Bank of France. Hello and welcome to the Africa News Network. This parasitic relationship primarily serves French interests, disregarding the well-being of the 14 countries still under France's influence.
Exploitation of Africa continues. Again, let me go back to the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization, which is the biggest one. The Francophone countries were told, because we brought you the idea that you can sit at a table and eat with a fork and knife, we brought you tea, we built some roads and told you about going to school, we're going to call that colonial debt. So there's a fee for that, and you need to pay for it. They were also told that you must speak French as your official language, and it must be your language of instruction in schools, and we will be the one to design your educational system. And then also, your money. 85% of your bank reserves, you will keep them, you'll deposit them with the French bank, and we will take that money and invest it in the French stock market, but we don't have to tell you what the returns are on your money.
It is absurd that such practices continue in the modern age, especially considering that these so-called Francophone countries remain politically unstable and underdeveloped, with a majority of their populations living in severe poverty and lacking basic necessities compared to others. Over the years, the United States, supporting France as one of its closest allies, has played a role in the continued exploitation of Francophone countries, seemingly indifferent to the immense suffering of their people. Following a military coup that led to the removal of Niger's president, Mohamed Bazoum, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the African Union, AU, issued an ultimatum to the coup leaders: reinstate President Bazoum or face military action.
In the event the authorities' demands are not met within 1 week, take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order in the Republic of Niger. Such measures may include the use of force.
These organizations also imposed sanctions, with backing from the United States. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and the U.S. Ambassador to the UN have both demanded the immediate reinstatement of the deposed leader.
Our economic and security partnership with Niger, which is significant, hundreds of millions of dollars, depends on the continuation of the democratic governance and constitutional order that has been disrupted by the actions in the last few days.
France has also echoed similar sentiments, including the possibility of military intervention.
First of all, I want to make it absolutely clear that France condemns in the strongest possible terms this military coup d'etat against a courageous, democratically elected leader who is making the reforms and investments his country needs and whom we support as we did his predecessor from the outset.
Rather than rushing into action, African leaders within the AU and ECOWAS should question the root causes of such coups. This point was aptly articulated by Mama Kandeh, the leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress, GDC, a few months ago.
We are not in support of coup d'etat. Let me make that very clear. And I want them to hear this. We are not in support of coup d'etat. I was a member of the Pan-African Parliament and have advocated strongly for us to introduce a term limit to make sure that we do away with coup d'etats in Africa, especially in West Africa. But I have a concern. Before setting up a unit or anti-coup d'etat unit in ECOWAS, isn't it time that the African head of states or the ECOWAS head of states look into the reason why there are coup d'etats? What are the root causes of coup d'etats? Let them put their house in order first. And I believe their house is not in order. This unit is set up to defend them and to protect them only, nobody else. What is more coup d'etat than your national constitution gives you 2-term limit, 5 years, 2 terms. After serving 10 years, you want to change the constitution for another term. Is that not a coup d'etat?
Additionally, Nigerian President Bola Tinubu, in his capacity as the chairman of ECOWAS, should take a moment to reflect on the recent events in Niger and avoid making hasty decisions that he and his team may come to regret. However, Burkina Faso and Mali, both located in West Africa, have expressed their intention to unite with Niger's soldiers to resist any use of force by the African Union and ECOWAS. These countries have recently undergone their own government overthrow and perceive an attack on Niger as an attack on themselves. They are determined to put an end to Western imperialism within their respective nations.
We refuse to apply these illegal, illegitimate and inhumane sanctions against the people of Niger. We warn that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali.
The loud protests from Western nations reveal that their interests in Niger are being threatened. This should serve as a warning sign for African countries contemplating intervention in Niger's affairs. Recently, 3 former French colonies, Mali, Burkina Faso, and the Central African Republic, have severed ties with France. The Niger coup has dealt another blow to France, signifying a decline in its influence over its former colonies. A loss for France also impacts the United States, hence their determination to maintain control over Niger. Prior to the ouster, the Niger coup leaders accused President Bazoum of being a puppet leader, acting in the interests of colonial masters rather than his own people. As former French President Jacques-René Chirac stated, "Without Africa, France will slide down into the rank of a third world power." Leaders who deviate from the expected path are often eliminated with the support of the same colonial powers. For instance, Thomas Sankara, who served as president of Burkina Faso for 4 years, was overthrown and killed by his former friend and colleague, Blaise Compaoré, with the backing of France. A similar fate befell Kwame Nkrumah, the father of Pan-Africanism, who was ousted shortly after Ghana gained independence from Britain, as he staunchly advocated for a United States of Africa and unconditional independence for all colonized countries. His overthrow was orchestrated by the United States and Britain. The West has historically acted to serve its own interests, frequently interfering in African affairs and hindering progress. African countries have long voiced their grievances about exploitation by Western nations, holding them responsible for their misfortunes. The threats made by ECOWAS and the AU against Niger coup leaders demonstrate either ignorance or a lack of foresight among African leaders. If ECOWAS and the AU collaborate with the Americans and the French to wage war against a fellow African country, they risk having blood on their hands. They must not allow themselves to be used and must not be complicit in witnessing the destruction of a fellow African nation, perpetuating the modern enslavement of African countries.